is Kimari Kimari, author of the book Slaves, Priests and King. Based on the feedback I've received, today I would like us to talk more about visionary communities. A visionary community is one that has endured years of external aggression, that has consistently returned high economic performance, that has been resilient, has been innovative, that has remained relevant for at least 100 years. An example of a visionary community would be the Jews. The Jewish culture is probably the most popular culture in the world, practiced by at least 3 billion people, both Islam and Christianity and Judaism. Jewish culture has been in existence for at least 4,000 years. Another example would be the Ismaili. It's a Shia form of Islam that has been in existence for at least 100 years, has expanded across the world. The other aspect about those two communities is that they have consistently enjoyed high economic social status across the world. They've been the Jews in Europe as well as in North America. Ismaili in East Africa, in Europe, and more recently in North America. What inspired the research on visionary communities was actually a book by Jim Collins and Jerry Porras titled Built to Last, a best-selling book. And in the book they explore what they called visionary companies. These were 18 companies that they compared with peer companies. The companies in question had for at least 50 years outperformed the market, the stock market, outperformed their peers, been resilient, been innovative, and was in existence by the time the research was being conducted. And so, based on the findings of that research, I wanted to fish around and see whether I could come up with a visionary communities. Upon my research, the attributes that came out in Built to Last were that these companies had doctrine. There was an intentional form of indoctrination when new employees were being recruited. Many of them had schools or institutions where you had to be taught the culture and the values and aspirations of the companies. And once these new employees went through that process of indoctrination, they felt like they belonged to a special organization, something the others call a cult-like tendency, that they felt like they belonged to a special organization that had a special mission to achieve in the world. This mission was also given a name called Big, Hairy, Audacious, something beyond themselves, something beyond profit, something extraordinary. An example has been given about when the US decided they wanted to go to the moon. There was no very good reason why. They just wanted to pick up on something audacious that could rally the country together. Lastly, they were also elements of resilience. These companies had gone through several external aggressions like World War II, and they had reinvented themselves. They also had a culture of excellence where they had started products that had become market leaders. They also had a purpose for existence that was beyond profit. The best example would be Johnson & Johnson's, which say they existed to alleviate pain and suffering from humankind. So based on the research of the Built to Last team, I was able to pick out 7 attributes of visionary communities. These communities would have an immutable core ideology. The best example was the Jews, that have a core ideology that has lasted at least 4,000 years. They have lofty aspirations, that they believe that they would achieve something out of the ordinary. Third is that they believe they have a special purpose for existence. For instance, the Jews believe they are God's chosen people to bring about redemption to humanity. They have an internal drive mechanism. They're self-driven. They also have a legacy of resilience. Possibly the Jews is the most persecuted race in the world, yet they still exist as a race 4,000 years later. They have a culture of excellence. Jews are possibly the most innovative country in the world. In fact, the statistics indicate Jews are a mere 0.2% of the world's population, yet they have received 24% of all the Nobel Prizes awarded in science and medicine. Lastly, they are cult-like and exclusionary. Jews identify themselves and embrace each other, but they also are accused of being exclusionary, that they are very close and do not allow people who do not profess Judaism. May I add, by the way, based on the Built to Last research that says that all these institutions outperform the market, also had a process of indoctrination. They sort of had schools of indoctrination. Is that when I compare the Jews and the Ismaili, is that both of them employ a dual system of education, whereby they incorporate the formal, recognized form of education for their countries of residence, but they also blend it with studies in religion, history, philosophy, and culture from their religion, thereby engaging in a form of indoctrination alongside participating as active citizens of their country of residence. When I compare other communities that do not engage in that process, they struggle with maintaining that identity, and incidentally, they perform less in terms of economic excellence. May I also add, by the way, because of the special purpose they believe they play in the world, they look out for their own. Many times when Jews have been persecuted in foreign countries, business people alongside government raises money to go rescue Jews from wherever they are. There was the Entebbe raids where Jews were part of passengers that had been in a hijacked plane. There's also an incident where there were so-called lost tribe of Jews in Ethiopia, where a businessman hired a plane to go ship them from Ethiopia back to Israel. Just to give an example of how committed they are to the special cause, I quote an edict issued by Aga Khan III to the Ismail of East Africa after they had immigrated from Western India to East Africa. And this is what he had to say. He said, "Your grandfathers crossed India to come to Africa. You have to cross right up to the Atlantic. And who knows, later I may send you to America." The active word here is send you. They believe they're being sent out by their spiritual father to go achieve some special purpose. In my opinion, because the built to last model was actually meant for formal organizations, either for-profit or non-profit formal institutions. Well, I decided to expand the conversation by introducing a social angle. This research could not be limited to just formal organizations that exist that are registered as entity, that it can also apply in informal institutions, social institutions like religious communities. If they apply the same principles, clearly we can demonstrate that they will achieve the same results, that they will endure, they will last for years and years, that the economic outcomes will be much better, and they will be known for excellence in their endeavors. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.